physiologist, he told me that I should go to a psychiatrist when I have all the symptoms that I might have an illness. So my parents, they were against it at first, because even I had that feeling for a very long time that I might be going through something. But to be very honest, I think I have this rigidized behavior towards it, so I don't know if I should or shouldn't go for it, because, well, frankly speaking, it's something that makes me unsure about, this is something big thing like mental illness. If I should be going to a psychiatrist or not, if I should take help or should I just try to deal with it on my own.
So basically, like, what you're trying to tell me is not about being self-stigmatized. So like we have something called social stigma, but we even have something called self-stigma, wherein we are stigmatizing ourselves, questioning our own capabilities of making decisions or not. Now, if your physiologist, in his opinion, feels that there is something psychologically going on, now that comes under something like a biological idea because of mental illnesses or mental stress that is going on. So like, it's not about being unable to decide. You should just go on with the advice of your physiologist. Just give it a shot. Just go meet one of the psychiatrists or a psychologist. I would suggest that you just go meet a counselor. Okay, just have one session with them, interact with them, share the experiences, share the questions that you have. Just try to understand what you're going through, and then finally make a decision, do you want to go with it or not. So what I suggest is that just go for it. Just go for the first session.
Yes, I think I'll be more comfortable meeting a counselor or even a psychiatrist, because going to a psychiatrist means like there's something really wrong with you or whatever.
Society. It's not, yeah, obviously like people have that kind of mental idea, like a mental ideology that, like going to a mental health setting means that you are crazy. But that's not the case, like if you have something like a cold or a fever, you definitely go to your general physician. So it's just like that, you go and meet a psychologist or a counselor just to have a little bit of idea what is going on in your mind, what is going on in your mental status. It is not always that you're going through a mental illness. It could be just a certain amount of stress which you are not able to cope with at this point of time. So what a counselor can do is just explain to you how to handle that stress. What are the different ways in which you can handle stress? So it's just about seeking an advice. No one's telling you that you have to do this, you have to do that. And it shouldn't be like people should go to a psychologist just for the sake of getting an advice that this is what you have to do. You just need to have a very common conversation with a counselor, understand what you want to do ahead, how do you want to cope with the situation. Like treatment plans should be based upon what the client also wants as well as what the psychologist prescribes. So it shouldn't be only one way around, it should even include the client's participation. So when you go and meet a counselor, you can put forward what are the things that you like and what you dislike. What things make you feel comfortable, what things will not make you feel comfortable. So as you're saying psychiatrist, going to a psychiatrist makes you uncomfortable. So as a psychologist, I can tell you different ways of coping with your illnesses and then making you confident enough to approach a psychiatrist for any severe symptoms of mental illness.
Okay, I will go to a counselor, but the thing is, let's talk a little bit ahead. What if he or she suggests me to a psychiatrist? I go to one and he'll probably end up prescribing me medication, and there will be so much like people will start judging me, like they'll be like, oh, she has some mental issues, and I'll probably face a lot of problem at work, and I might not even get a job. I don't know.
See, that is the fear with which we live in, like we have that fear that if we get this label on our head that we have certain form of mental illness, we will not be able to work, we will not be able to, like do our daily chores. So that is something that is in our mind, it's not the actual thing. There are so many people around us, there are so many successful leaders around us who have succeeded in their life even after having certain forms of mental illness. You know, like recently in a newspaper article, we came across many famous presidents and prime ministers who have gone through, you know, disorders like depression or mania or something of that sort, and it didn't affect their work. If it would have affected their work, the world would never gain peace. After the First World War. Like, for example, Winston Churchill, he was going through depression, right? So if he wasn't able to work well, world would never have, like, we wouldn't have seen the end of World War II.
But then I've seen a lot of my colleagues, like I remember there was this one colleague of mine, and he was suffering through, I think he had some illness, and because of that, like a lot of people, he used to stay by himself a lot of times, but people started judging him for it. Like, a lot of people around were like, oh yeah, he's crazy, he's like depressed all the time. Nobody would even consider his opinions.
So the thing is that the major thing about any mental illness and it being, you know, severity increases is because of social isolation. So the more isolated you feel, the greater the extent of the mental illness to be developed. So the more you are part of the community, the more you're part of the society, the more you'll be able to cope with your illness. So I do understand people question your judgment, people question your decision making and everything of that sort. But what really happens is that if you are seeking treatment, you learn to make decisions, you learn to make probable judgments that are good for everyone, rather than only good for you, or you know, they are not good enough at all. So don't question your judgment, don't question your decision making if they are still intact.
People who is doing it.
I do understand it. So that is the kind of stigma, that is the part of the social stigma that we have, and that can only be avoided if we get in touch with the, you know, the employers' bosses, or you know, like people who are at the higher position in the firms, or you know, in the different settings. Who make the calling shots that should we employ someone with this kind of a background or no. But the thing is that a mentally ill person, or a person who has symptoms of mental illness, is still capable of going through daily chores and going through jobs and completing the task. Yes, there might be certain concessions that would be required. He might not be able to complete the task if he's going through an episode like that of a mania or depression. He might not be able to complete the task, but he is very much capable of handling the task. Getting it? So don't question their judgment, don't question their decision making, and that is what needs to be done by spreading awareness about people in general. And when that article came in of, you know, Winston Churchill, all these people, you come to understand that people can still complete or do their job even after going through symptoms of depression or mania or anything. Yes, and they might even do it better. That's true. They might do it better. Because when you are when you're going through a manic episode, what happens is that your confidence level increases, your energies increases, you're much more energized to do any kind of activity, you're much more motivated to do activities, and yes, at times even creative people, you know, like even I could say even Einstein had some form of neuroticism in him. You know, he was a little emotionally unstable at some point of time as well. So even creative people, successful people have gone through mental illness. That's what I would like to say, that they all have gone through emotional instability. It's just how you react to that situation. How do you run from it, or you fight through it and you succeed? So that's a point.
What about, I've been recommended alternative therapy like meditation, yoga, and these kind of things that like you can just, a lot of people tell me that you can just snap out of it, it's nothing. And some people tell me, oh, you should try to meditate, those things help. You don't need to go to a psychiatrist. So I've been just really
just tell me something. If someone is going through an illness, like in India we generally have, you know, dengue and malaria, and they're supposed to get hospitalized, and you know, like you have the glucose bottle that, you know, the glucose is flowing through your thing, and the person is lying down. So when he's lying down, do you just tell him just snap out of it? Like you just can't get out of it. It's just dengue and malaria. You just have to drink water, or you just need to get this blood transfusion done or something of that sort done, and you'll be all right.
So you're saying it's the chemicals in the...
Exactly. It's like when it comes to mental illness, there are some form of genetic variability, and there is something that's going on physiologically. So the first symptoms of mental illness can be checked through genes as well as through someone's brain. You know, like how the brain is functioning. So that is like the earliest way of finding out if someone has mental illness or not. Even if the symptoms have not appeared, you can still find out if someone is going through an illness or has a potential or vulnerability of developing symptoms. So there are different ways. So there are definite chemical imbalances that are going on, and what medications that psychiatrists prescribe are doing is to create that kind of a balance. Like when it comes to substance abuse, that imbalance happens in the brain. You know, like the brain tries to balance out the chemicals that have been imbalanced because of the substances that we consume. The brain tries to balance it out, but at some point of time that threshold level appears wherein even the brain is not able to balance out the substances that we have. So like as we were saying, we consume a lot of morphine, right? Like when it comes to opiates, why do we consume opiates? It's pain relieving. But even our brain chemicals have morphine in them. So we ourselves in our body have opiates. So when you are consuming opiates like heroin or morphine or something of that sort, what's happening is that it's creating a sense of imbalance in our brains. And the brain tries to balance it out and it still doesn't function. So that's when substance tolerance and substance abuse and addiction and all of these things appear. And that's when rehab becomes a necessity because the brain is not capable enough to handle it. So then you have to use different kinds of treatments and usage of psychiatrists or psychologists for that matter. I think it's yes, there is a physiological aspect to every mental illness. It's not that it's only mental illness or it's just the behaviors or it's not only the emotions, it's even the physiological body, our own body reacting to mental illnesses. And the first way of finding someone has mental illness is through gene testing and imaging studies that we have.
I'm just, honestly speaking, I'm just scared. I'm just scared of being judged. I'm just scared of, I am judging myself over this. But I know I've been going through this for such a long time, and I've even tried hypnotherapy. But it's like I've gone to a lot of people, spoken to them.
Exactly. So like what hypnosis does is that you're re-experiencing the symptoms, the triggers, and you're trying to suggest yourself ways of coping it. But there are different things involved in different forms of therapy. Like there are some that are targeting the thoughts, there are some who are targeting the triggers, there are some who are targeting your experiences. But what is basically that is required is to work on a person's personality as a whole. So it's not only certain triggers, it's even the personality of your client that needs to be worked upon. So when I'm talking to you, your confidence level is low. So I have to develop that confidence that you believe in yourself, that what you are doing is right or what you're doing is not right. Like that kind of things will happen only when I'm working on your personality with the triggers that you experience when these symptoms appear. So it needs to be worked upon like that.
It's just this last thing that I would like to say is that, it's just so much of, if I may, stigma is there in the society that sometimes I just want to give up. I think more than the disease, I'm finding the stigma. That's what it seems like.
Yes, that's true. Half of your job, half of our work in mental health is only targeting the self-stigma that the client faces or the social stigma that we face. So if we fight through the self-stigma, half of our job is done. By the time the client accepts that yes, I have this illness and I can work on it, half of our job is done. As a profession, I can say that once you accept, yes, this is what I'm going through and this is what I can do, just your acceptance makes my work much more easier and makes your treatment much more easier. So majority of our work is on helping you fight through your self-stigma and then moving on to the social stigma. So once you are confident to portray yourself as you are and increase your capabilities when it comes to society in general, you'll be much more confident to face that stigma, and you can make people aware that, you know, what I'm going through is nothing abnormal. It's something that we all experience in our lives. At some point of time, someone has experienced anxiety. At some point of time, someone has experienced depression. At some point of time, someone has felt that emotional instability, has gone through those mood swings. So each one of us have experienced our own shares of mental illness. It's just how we react to it. And if we get early treatments done, it's much better than waiting until the illness has taken over us and there is no cure available. So get early treatments. That is going to be much more helpful for you. So as soon as you can, go meet a counselor. If she suggests a psychiatrist, it's only for the good of you. Now I do understand, you know, like being prescribed medications and the side effects and everything. But what basically, as a psychiatrist, what professionals are looking forward to is providing you the maximum treatment they can to avoid the symptoms to continue to develop. That is what a psychiatrist is trying to do, is just providing you with the maximum care, even if it leads to certain side effects, but just to stop the development of the symptoms. That is what a psychiatrist does. And what a psychologist does is, when you have reached that physical balance, we try to help you out, cope with yourself, develop your own personality, build that confidence of going back to the society and working as a normal individual. So that is what a psychologist's job is, and that is what we aim to do.
Even after working so much, what if I have a relapse?
So basically your chances of relapsing reduces if you get early intervention. So like the earlier you get your treatments and your symptoms stopped, the better chances for you. And if you have extensive and rigorous treatments provided, like a therapy provided, like a psychotherapy which goes on for at least 6 months, the chances of relapse reduces considerably. So go for a long-term kind of a treatment, I'd suggest, and earlier as much as you can. Like the first time you feel, you know, it's been a while that you're going through an episode of depression, or you're going through panic attacks since past a lot, like a month or so, go seek treatment before it continues to develop and there are more chances of relapsing even after going through treatment. Because what happens is that physically your body learns how to, you know, cope with that situation and then go back with the trigger. So the trigger happens and you know, like again you have the symptoms develop, because the treatment cannot help you at that stage. So like the later you go for treatment, the worse it's going to be for you. You know, like the worse are going to be the chances of relapsing. So go for an early treatment, go for an early intervention.